Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, the podcast where I have the pleasure of simplifying the marketing and the mindset so you, the chiropractor, can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. The other day, I was listening to a podcast. The podcast is called The Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, and he was interviewing an Aussie guy by the name of Daniel Priestley. I'm a big fan of Daniel's stuff. He's written a couple of great books as well. And Stephen said something that just had a light bulb go off inside my mind that organized thoughts that have been jumbling around there maybe for the last 5 years. I don't know if you ever have that. You're reading a book or you're listening to something as well. They were talking a little bit about personal branding, and here's what Stephen went on to say. He said, personal branding isn't about self-promotion. It's about ideas promotion. Personal branding is not look at me, it's look at this. And that moment right then, I literally stopped, I pulled the car over and I wrote those notes down because I've been trying to communicate this to chiropractors for the last 5 years, and I've never been able to as eloquently put it into 2 sentences just like that. Now, so many of you, rightfully so, are hesitant about jumping into marketing and advertising because we don't want to put ourselves out there as these tacky, shallow influences that we see, where it's about, look what I had for breakfast and look what I did on the weekend, and here I am going on my holiday, and here I am winning this award. And there's something about that most of us as healthy individuals see that, and we're repulsed by it on different levels. And so understandably, we don't want to be a part of that at all, okay? Now, in today's episode, I want to really expand across this aim of how do we have our marketing, our advertising, our personal branding be about ideas promotion, because I believe that's where the greatest success will be for the practices in the future, for the businesses of the future. Those people that are doing really great nowadays are all about an idea as well, okay? So we'll talk about what personal branding is and how it might be different from branding in particular. We'll talk about what goes into an idea that's likely to be attractive and catch fire, so to speak. I'll share with you some of the ideas that are common for us as chiropractors and help you explore some of your own. And then we'll talk about the implementation of those ideas into your messaging, the wider public as well. Okay. So what is personal branding? Let's touch on that as well, because personal branding for us as chiropractors involves creating an identity, okay, that encapsulates your ideas. Okay. So we'll talk a lot about ideas, but it's also your values, your expertise. Your branding also often encapsulates your audience as well, whether you're a pediatric chiropractor, a headache chiropractor, those type of things. It's how you communicate your story and your philosophy and the benefits of what you offer to the community. Now, when we think about branding, most of us are thinking about our website, our business cards, our font, our logo, our colors, all those things. And they are important, but they're not nearly as important as what the personal brand is, the idea behind your practice as well. So in a healthcare setting, your personal branding and the ideas that you share there is what will allow you to build relationships. It'll allow you to create genuine connection with not just your new people, but with your current people as well, okay? So you can imagine a chiropractor who's not only kind of known for their exceptional skills, but also maybe they've got a commitment to holistic care. Maybe this chiropractor does lots of nutrition and mindset management and exercise and all those type of things. Their brand becomes synonymous for that holistic, comprehensive approach, okay? And we'll talk about what sort of ideas they might have that support that as well, okay? So there's a difference. Let's just define the difference between self-promotion and ideas promotion as well. So self-promotion focuses on you and your achievements, your credentials, and your accolades. Now, it's not that we should ignore these things. They are an important part about it. But if that's what I'm seeing day after day, if we're going to talk a little bit later about positioning in terms of us being the guide versus the hero. We don't want to show up as the hero, but I'll talk about more of that in a moment. Okay, so we want to establish expertise. But if there's an excessive self-focus, what it will do is it will alienate your audience. And that's why many of you have hesitation in jumping into the world of social media or marketing, because you felt alienated by people that have done that as well, okay? Ideas promotion centers around sharing valuable ideas. Now, who has more valuable ideas than us as chiropractors? I think we have ideas that can revolutionize and change the world, okay? So this is what we want to be sharing. It positions the chiropractor here as a resource or a guide rather than the hero. So let me touch on this. Was a concept I first learned from the book, Building a Story Brand. And inside that, the way that we are traversing through our life, there is a story that's playing out. It's often Joseph Campbell's hero story that we're going through. We're trying to solve problems. We're dealing through the difficulties of everything that's going on in our life there too. And in the story that we're living, we're the central character. It makes sense there too. Now, we don't want other heroes to come into our story, but what we do want is we want guides. We want a guide to come in. Now, the classic guide is Yoda in Star Wars. The hero is Luke Skywalker. We don't want another Luke Skywalker. We want a guide in there. Now, people in your community with the challenges that they're having, they're the hero in their stories, and what they're looking for is a guide. So when we position ourselves on this self-promotion that's there, that positions us as the hero, okay? So again, maybe instead of posting another photo or trophy, a certificate as well, you want to share a simple tip about posture and why posture is important, okay? And we can talk into, again, the posture being the window to the spine and the spine being the window to your health. They're all ideas that we could share as well, okay? Now, again, as we're doing this, the importance of personal branding is two key things: trust and credibility. Most is that as well. So in the healthcare industry, these are absolutely essential. And unfortunately, us as chiropractors still sit way too low on that trust ladder as well. And if we get our personal branding right and if we're sharing ideas that move and inspire people, we can really move our way up there. It will help you build relationships as well. So let's talk about now what makes a great idea. So if you're thinking, and maybe as you're thinking this now, you've got some ideas that you want to share with your community in terms of look at this, then these are the ingredients that go into a great idea. Now, the first one is innovativeness. Is that a word? Innovativeness? I think it is there too. A great idea brings something new to the table. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be a groundbreaking invention. It's not like you invented electricity or the wheel or the motor car as well. But I think some of the ideas that we have as chiropractor are equally as profound as that. But what we want it to do is offer a fresh perspective, an approach or a solution to an existing problem that looks at it from another angle, pivots around the other side. Relevance is another important thing. For an idea to resonate, it needs to be timely and address the current needs or interests. Now, think about the challenges that are happening in the world right now, particularly with regards to health, particularly in this post-COVID world there as well. There are a lot of ideas that we have. The relevance of them right now is more important than ever. Simplicity, okay? So if it's complex, we confuse, and if we confuse, we lose. The most powerful ideas are often the simplest. They're easy to understand. They're really easy to communicate, which makes them much more accessible to a really broad audience as well, okay? Complexity is a barrier to adoption. Applicability as well. So a great idea has lots of practical applications. So we have these ideas that might be fantastic. We're like, how do I integrate that into my life? It's too much there as well. It's not just theoretical. It's like I want to take this idea, I want to apply it to my family, and the end result is I want to have a family that's healthier, is more connected. We're experiencing more of the abundance of life as well. Another thing to think about is impact. Okay, great ideas have the potential to make significant impact, really change not just the life of the person, but maybe the life of the community, the country, the world, you name it from there as well. So a great idea has an emotional connection. The potential to, evoke emotion there as well will make them more memorable and make it a lot more powerful. Okay, so inspiration, excitement, empathy, a sense of urgency. Great ideas are scalable. So it's not just about me, but to be truly great, it needs to be seen that this can go beyond me as well. And one of the key ingredients for a great idea is actually the way that it's delivered, and that is passion. Often the greatest or the greatness of an idea is just the passion behind it. So it can be not a great idea, but if somebody delivers it with passion, then that can really elevate the idea as well. So they're the sort of things that go into creating a great idea. Now, how do we find your ideas? What are your ideas that you want to share? So instead of saying, look at me, it's like, look at this. There are several ideas that we have as chiropractors that fit almost all of those 9 categories I went through beforehand. So let me give you some examples here that might be useful for you as well. So an idea might be that the body is self-healing. This is a really powerful idea because the world is told that we need drugs, we need surgery, we need intervention. Yet central to chiropractic and what we do is that the best doctor is the one inside. One of the things I was constantly saying to my patients and inspiring them with is the body needs no help. It just needs no interference. Okay. There's a wonder inside of you. This is an idea that people can really jump upon. When they look at their newborn child, they can see that the body does amazing things. Another great idea that we can build our personal branding around is that the nerve system is the master system. We know the cardiovascular system is important, the immune system is important, the digestive system is important, but what regulates all of these is the nerve system. And we can share this idea with people and we can build a lot of conversations in around that. One of the ideas that you might want to expand upon is the spine's job is not just for posture and hanging arms and muscles off it there too, but this idea of the role that it plays in protection and housing the nerve system, the delicate nerve system inside of it too. And that when the spine becomes stressed, the nerve system becomes stressed, okay? That's a key idea that is easy to get upon, okay? When people can see that, they can relate to the impact it can have on their life, their family's life. It helps to explain a lot that's going on there too. Naturalism and conservatism, it makes sense to start naturally and conservatively. Now, from a parental point of view, when people would have discussions with me about the health of my kids and why did they end up being so flourishing, then just a conservative approach. It wasn't, yes, they were adjusted, but often, it was wait, watch and see. The first time they got a fever, we didn't try and jump down their throat with anything, okay? It's like the body's intelligent. It's a conservative approach there too. Another idea that the world needs to understand is that symptoms aren't the enemy. Now, it can be a valuable tool to let your practice members know and the wider community know that what symptoms are is a call for behavior change, okay? They're not the enemy any more than the smoke alarm is the enemy, okay? So we can get into that. We can understand this concept, and that idea then allows us to open the doors. I get quite excited about this, guys. I'm fumbling on my words a little bit there too. But that then opens the door for lots of other conversations, okay? Symptoms aren't the enemy. And if we look across all the advertising, everything that's on television, that's online there too, symptoms are positioned as the enemy. And it doesn't take much of a conversation with people for them to understand, just how futile that idea is there too. Another idea is preventative care over reactive treatment, okay? We can talk about that. People are seeing the expense of reactive care. They've seen it with their parents. They've seen it with themselves there as well. And number 7 here in terms of another idea is that chiropractic care across the lifespan. The big idea is that we don't just look after you when you're sick. What we want to do is we want to care for you when you're well from the beginning of life all the way through. Now, again, for the right person, that is really going to resonate with them. Remember, these ideas are not necessarily about connecting with everybody. There's very few ideas that will do that. But some of these ones that we've spoken about, all of these ones I've spoken about here, will resonate with a lot of people. Now, there are many other ideas that you have that perhaps you want to build upon. How do you go about finding those? I think the first is it takes some introspection, okay? It might be reflecting on your daily practice and thinking about aspects of your work and practice that you're most passionate about. Where do you hold the most expertise? What do you listen to? What do you read? What do you watch? Where is your attention? Is it down a nutrition focus? Is it around a mindset focus? Is it around a coaching focus? Okay. Now, I don't know that there is a 3-step system for you to find your ideas, but just look, where is the passion? Where are the conversations that you say and have with people that you can see their eyes light up? When there's an aha moment that you have with people, chances are that you've got an idea that has broken through. Now, one of the challenges that can come up with all of this is that maybe what you're saying is, I don't know that I have any ideas, Angus, that are different from anybody else's. Okay, so now that might be the case. And let's just assume that it is. Now, it's not, in the first case, there's several ways we want to address this. It's not about being different from everyone. Ideally, though, what we want to be is different from the other people in your community and maybe the other chiropractors in your community. In the same way, when I'm thinking about being the best, is it about being the best in the world? That would be great to aim for that. It's unrealistic for some of us. But can I be the best in my community? That's where we want to start to look at. So when you're thinking about your ideas, what are the different ideas that I have that might be different from other chiropractors in my community? Now, let's just say that your community is full of fantastic chiropractors, and you all share the same ideas, okay, then often it's the way that we share those ideas that makes it different. So, if we think about Tim Ferriss, one of the original biohackers, and then David Asprey, these are guys who are both known as biohackers. They share the same ideas, a lot of the same ideas, but the way that they deliver it, they have different styles that will resonate with a very different audience. So just you singing the same song is going to seem different. There's an authenticity of the way that you kind of deliver it. So adding your authentic you-ness is enough to differentiate. You want to weave in your story. You want to share your unique path, your challenges, successes, and lessons learned. And if we can wrap those ideas in the you-ness, that's enough to differentiate you from others. Now, again, other things that you can think about is with those ideas is to specialize in a different niche. So maybe the idea is that the body is self-healing, but the niche that you're dealing with is athletes. Now, that's different from the body's self-healing, and you have a pediatric practice, which is different from the body's self-healing, and I work with office workers. So we can wrap it in those ideas in a different niche as well. The other thing that you can do to differentiate your ideas is to think about different content formats, okay? So you can experiment with different formats such as a podcast, maybe a video series, interactive webinars, social media challenges, okay? Different audience or different formats will appeal to different preferences, and it'll make your ideas available to a different group of people, okay? So let me just summarize that again. It's okay to have the same ideas as other people in your community, other chiropractors, but just wrapping the essential you-ness through that idea there as well will make it come across differently. But you can, look at specializing in a different niche. You can try different content formats as well. You could offer a signature method or program as well. So, this could be the Pyke posture method. It could be the Pyke pediatric technique. These ways we can develop our own signature system as well. And if you go back through past episodes, I should have prepared this beforehand. I have a whole episode on putting together your signature method. This will help to differentiate you as well. Now, it's not about having lots of ideas. In fact, if you're having lots of ideas, you can confuse. The more ideas you have, the more diluted they will be. What we want to do is see if we can build around a core idea. Now, there might be a central nucleus there that there are, neutrons and protons that circulate in around it. But what is the key idea? And the right key idea can profoundly build a business. If we think about Simon Sinek, what was the idea that he started with? It was start with why. When most other business books were looking at systems and optimizations and company structure and all those type of things, Sinek shared the idea and the importance of starting with why. Very simple, very profound as well. So again, we talked about Tim Ferriss beforehand. He burst onto the scene. His idea was the 4-hour work week. So his approach to productivity, to outsourcing and income automation, it challenged the traditional kind of 9 to 5, 40-hour work week with something new and different. Marie Kondo, okay, and her method there as well. When other people were talking about organization and cleaning up and those type of things, Murray said, throw stuff out. If it doesn't bring you joy, okay, get rid of it. It has no place inside of your house, and whether that be your cutlery to your clothing to your furniture as well. So that was her idea. If it doesn't bring joy, get rid of it. So one simple idea that could be just the body is self-healing, and then you can build a bridge from there onwards as well. So once we've come up with our idea and we know what it is and we want to begin to share it, let's go through some practical strategies for sharing ideas and for idea promotion, different ways. I'll give you some examples of some ideas and formats that we could share them in as we begin to sum this up as well. So let's just say, for instance, that some of you are gifted with writing, and what you want to do is you want to start to blog. The idea example in this situation is the body is self-healing. So maybe you're going to write an in-depth blog post or an article exploring this concept. You'll use patient success stories, if you're allowed to as well, case stories, to elaborate the body's ability and its capacity to self-heal, and chiropractic's role in that as well. Maybe you're going to create some social media posts or a series of social media posts where the idea that you're going to be focusing on is the nerve system is the master system. Again, an educational case series, each post focusing on different aspects of the nerve system and its role in overall health. Infographics would be good. Short videos, engaging visuals, simple infographics, stuff to simplify those complexity of the nerve system as well. Maybe it's video content. Maybe the idea example is the spine's role beyond posture. You could produce a short, engaging video and explain how the spine's function, its position, its movement, its alignment affects the nervous system, and therefore that affects the overall health as well. Diagrams, anatomies, charts, models, all those things would be helpful as well. So again, a podcast or a webinar as well. And maybe the idea example here was naturalism and conservatism in care. So, this podcast episode or webinar could be discussing that as a philosophy, giving examples of it, showing what it might look like for a family, for an athlete, all of these type of things there as well. It could be an email newsletter. Maybe the idea you wanted to share here is symptoms are signals, not the enemy. What a great message and a great idea to be sharing. And this is one that I've found that people want to grab a hold of. They understand this. So it could be send out a newsletter or a newsletter series that educates the subscribers on how to interpret their signals of their body there as well. Encourage them to be proactive about their health as well. We could put together workshops or seminars in-house, or we could go down to a local library and share these things. And we could be talking about the idea here of preventative care over reactive treatment, okay? We could do Q&A sessions on social media, and the idea could be about holistic approach to health. Again, we could do patient testimonials and stories if you're allowed to as well, talking about the idea here being the adaptability and resilience of the human body. And then finally, maybe it's just infographics and visual aids if that's your go there too. We can use things like Canva to really help out here. And maybe the idea you want to share here is the science and art of chiropractic. There are plenty of different ways here that you can share your idea. The step number one, though, is clarifying your idea as well, okay? Now remember, branding is about sharing ideas, not about self-promotion of you. It's important because it builds trust and it builds expertise and authority. It positions you as the guide, not the hero, and we're all looking for a guide. It'll separate you from other businesses in your community. Now, again, it's not about you trying to be different from everybody, but we do want to be different from the people in our community. And even if we share the same ideas, we want to look for ways that we can differently communicate those ideas. Look for an opportunity to add your authenticity into the way that you share your ideas as well. It's not about sharing lots of ideas. It's thinking about what is the one for you. And this might be something that you really need to test in the coming weeks. Look for opportunities to test. This is an experiment. What resonates with you, what allows you to be passionate about it, and what works for your audience as well. Folks, that's it for this episode as well, okay? Now remember this, when we're thinking about personal branding as well, great personal branding isn't about self-promotion, it's about ideas promotion. Personal branding is not look at me, it's look at this. As always, folks, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. Your community needs you to get this personal branding stuff sorted. It'll make an enormous difference. See you back here next week. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.